Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell. Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted, and today I am joined by Sarah Milne, our program director, and we call her, or she's been calling herself English Sarah, and she is also one of our astrology teachers and teacher in everywhere of all things these days. So, hello, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. How are you doing?
Great to see you on this day. I was going to say good morning, but it's not morning where you are.
No, it's afternoon, yeah.
So Sarah has moved recently and is living right by the water.
I can see it. The sea is just there. I see it from my window.
So glorious.
It is.
So glorious. Do you have Sarah moved into this beautiful little like cottagey type place, and it needs so much work. So do you have any updates, Sarah, on your?
No, well, hopefully I'm hoping for a complete rewire will be done this week or next, and the damp coursing, and it's raining. It's going to be raining in the next few days, which means the windows will leak. But you know, it's okay because I know it's all, there's a plan for it now. It's not quite as overwhelming as when I first moved in on the first night.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing to protect this cottage from the sea. There's no building in front of this cottage and the sea. I mean, you kind of go down a little bit to the sea, but you can't. There's nothing to protect it. So it's going to be an ongoing. It's the price you pay to live by the sea, is that the houses need ongoing work.
Yeah.
And this hasn't had it for a long time.
For sure. Yeah, we don't have, because I live near, I'm like 2 miles from the ocean, probably like inland. And so I don't have that problem because I don't live right on the water, but that is a common problem here. And then we have the problem with our vehicles, our cars, because we get so much snow where I live, and then they salt the roads to melt the snow and ice. And then we spend a lot of time at the water, so then the salt water. And so we have to constantly wash the underbody of our cars because they just rust out so quickly from all the salt.
Absolutely. When these houses, all the wood around the windows is rotten.
Yeah.
Not kept, which will I leak. But it's a lovely cottage, and I love to be able to get up in the morning and get into that water. Nothing's ever got me out of bed so quick in the morning as the idea of going to swim before work. It's just brilliant.
It's so good. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of water, we have a watery new moon.
We do.
Watery Scorpio.
It's watery Scorpio, dark water, and it's the beginning of the new lunar year as well. So it's not just the new lunar month; it's the new lunar year.
Yeah. So for some people, you might hear the more. So the people who are listening to this right now, depending on like what level of witchery woo you're in, the Halloween for some is marked as the witch's new year, and then November 1st would then be the start of the dark months. But for others, the Scorpio new moon would be lunar Samhain, like lunar Halloween, which would be the witch's new year. And the idea is that before our modern calendar system, and time was really tracked by the moon, that it would have been that Scorpio new moon that would have been that entrance into the dark months. And so sometimes that's really close, like in this case it's really close to Halloween, but sometimes it can be a little farther out as the wheel turns. But
I find that's one thing living by the sea, because you see like the sunrise and the sunset at both ends of the horizon, and you see the moon over the sea and the tides, and I've never been so feeling these cycles of nature and seeing why people would call this the new year and all this kind of stuff, which is really cool. But we're actually going to start this new year, if you're looking at the new lunar year, it starts with a little bit of a feeling of uncertainty. There's a little bit of a feeling of uncertainty with this new moon, because we have the sun opposite Uranus. And Uranus is this planet of sudden change and rebellion. And when it's opposite our ego and are creative in creating ourselves in the world, it kind of brings that tug of war between that kind of rebelliousness and change. So it might feel a little bit chaotic. It doesn't last very long. So it's only going to last a few days. So don't worry. But if you're feeling coming into this new lunar cycle that you just feel a little bit like things aren't quite going as planned, like there's a lot of sudden changes, people are cancelling things, you have to keep pivoting. We like to do that, Sisters Enchanted. Pivot, all this kind of stuff. This is going to be a week of those pivots. I can
that
tell
does
you.
not sound good.
It only lasts a few days though. So the way to ride this is just to kind of like, it'll be by the weekend, will be a bit more, it will be all this energy will be over by the weekend. It's just to ride it and just be open-minded to the idea that change might suddenly happen, and just be flexible and just keep reminding yourself it's just a few days. So it's not a long transit.
Oh, goodness. That sounds stressful to me. And that's just a few days before I'm having relatives. My elderly grandparents are coming from like 12 hours away. My husband has to leave, go get them, drive them here. And that's around the time when he'll probably be leaving to go get them. So
there might be some detours, maybe some traffic detours or something.
Right? Nothing like the change and transformation and kind of like spookiness of Scorpio combined with unexpected pivoting.
Change. Exactly. And we are going into this real depths as well, this real Scorpio depths. So we're going to have a change of energy, which is going to really bring us this kind of real thinking deeply, but also getting down to business, because we've got 2 planets now changing signs. Mercury goes into Scorpio and Venus goes into Capricorn. So Mercury in Scorpio, like that's the planet of our thoughts and communications, and Scorpio is this depth and intense. So this is going to make us think deeply. We might have some real deep conversations, real deep, intense communications with people. But also Scorpio loves things that are esoteric and hidden as well. So this is a really good time to look at tarot and astrology and to communicate in those esoteric ways. So, and it's like, it's kind of cool because of course the veil is very thin right now between the seen and the unseen realms, and between our past, present, future selves and our ancestors and all this stuff. So this is a really good time to kind of communicate in using divination and communicating between those different realms. This is going to be good for that kind of thing.
Speaking of divination, if you're not in our Tarot Throwdown class, now is the time to sign up. If you weren't able to join us in Holistic Witchery, we just closed the doors on Holistic Witchery. But if you weren't able to join there for some reason, we'll welcome you in next time. Don't you worry. But for now, join Tarot Throwdown. It's the perfect stepping stone into this kind of esoteric work and understanding intuition. Plus, it really can help you be more intentional when chaos arises, astrologically speaking. So you can find out about that at tarotthrowdown.com.
Absolutely. And Mercury just moving into Scorpio now, this is a really good time. You really enhance your learning of things like tarot right now, because your mind is really open to that with Mercury and Scorpio. So it would be a really, really good time.
Oh, yeah. Sure. What I love about talking with Sarah, she and I both have teaching backgrounds also. And Sarah in our astrology class did this whole thing about learning styles according to Mercury, right? Wasn't that what it was? Yeah.
Because Mercury in water is one of this, is that learning style that schools really do not, or traditional schools and traditional education really misses, because they really need to like learn through feeling and get very emotional about their learning journey as well. And schools really kind of, and also people have Mercury, a water Mercury can kind of like struggle to learn when their emotions are not kind of calm as well. And it is something that like we at Sisters Enchanted, we know about all of these kind of things, so we can integrate all these different Mercury learning styles into all our programs, but schools don't. They really don't. So
I should look up my kids' Mercury. I don't know where Scarlett's Mercury is. I'd be interested to see that. Anyway, now I'm just thinking. out loud of that.
Mercury's
right after this.
I love Mercury's fascinating. Mercury tells us so much that we often don't think about. So Mercury is in Scorpio now. So any children born right this next few weeks will have that watery learning style for sure. But it's good because it's very intuitive. So it's really intuitive learners, very intuitive learners. So we also have Venus moving into Capricorn, and this can make us really kind of get serious and get down to business when it comes to our relationships. And also remember our finances. That's something that gets forgotten about. The Venus also rules our finances. So those things together, perhaps this is a good time for collaborations, because relationships are wider than just our romantic relationships. So it's a good time for collaborations, particularly if you're artistic, because Venus very much is the planet of artistry as well. So Venus and Capricorn, real kind of getting down to work. If you are an artist in any way and there's a project that you really want to get going on and you haven't done yet, or maybe you want to experiment with a new form, new structures, this is a really good time for that. And interestingly, Venus and Mercury are sextile with each other right now. So they're going into these new energies and they're sextile, which means the energy between them is flowing really, really well and really easily. So you've got these two planets going into new energies and kind of supporting each other and bouncing off each other as they kind of settle down into these new energies, which means this weekend is a really good weekend for collaborations, for these artistic collaborations or collaborating with something with others that share your passions, and particularly collaborations that involve anything deep and esoteric as well, which is great for us because of course it's our Halloween class-a-thon. So perfect weekend for that.
Those of you
weekend for that.
Did join us in Holistic Witchery, you're in for a real treat because Halloween class-a-thon is happening. Everybody in our Enchanted Journey program, so much goodness. So Sarah, I just want to recap quick because I know that what you're saying makes sense to me, but you are an astrologer, Anna's an astrologer, other astrology teacher, Nick, all astrologers. But as a person who has just I think I've got like a foundational understanding of astrology. Let me just recap to make sure we're all on the same page for everybody listening. So we have our new moon in Scorpio. And that is November. What date is our actual new moon? November 4th in Scorpio. And then right after that, within the next 3 days, we have this Mercury in Scorpio.
That's the next day. Mercury and Venus move into the new planets the very next day on the 5th of November. And then on the 6th and 7th, that's when they're really feeding off each other.
In the same time, though, we have that Uranus situation happening, which could cause some unexpected pivots.
Yes.
So we have this invitation during the first week of the lunar cycle, which is we talk about in our framework here. We talk about that as our intention setting time. So it sounds like we're setting these intentions, and there really is this beautiful opportunity for intuitive kind of communication, growth, artistic opportunity, and that it might be kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
And what's amazing though, I think, is that when we're setting intentions and we're like this sounds like a beautiful recipe for feeling your intentions. Like what would feel really great.
Yeah.
Opening up your intuition to recognize those pivots as they come toward you, because you might not normally see them if you're just so busy with your head down in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's our first week.
Yes, that's the first week, and there are some other things as well. So that are in the show notes for this. We have some other kind of other planetary things going along there as well that are really going to build on this expansion and this shadow work and this depth. So
we have the next. I'm just going through our notes here too. So we have all of that going on, and then we have what is happening with Saturn. Is that happening in this? Yeah,
Saturn. Now this is a real kind of so as we're going into this new month and this new year, it's a real kind of time to face your truth. Saturn is wagging its finger at us, like face your truth. So Saturn is very much that kind of energy that it's like a school teacher or someone with authority saying, what have you achieved? What have you not achieved? How are you responding to your responsibilities? But it's with love. It's not kind of because I want to punish you. It's because come on, because I love you. I want you to do better than this. So Saturn is throwing us some interesting challenges as we come into this new lunar month and year, because it's squaring up with Mars and it's squaring up with Mercury. And when planets square, that means they're kind of like in that boxing ring, jostling up, pushing each other into corners, and it's quite challenging for us. So with Saturn squaring with Mars, it's very much kind of like, okay, so are your actions in alignment with your truth? Are you acting in alignment with your responsibilities? Are you acting at all? Are you doing things? Are you doing what you should be doing? Are your motivations right? Or are your motivations perhaps like not quite in alignment with your true self? So we have that going on, and at the same time then we have Mercury. So Saturn square Mercury is like, so is your thinking straight? Are you thinking the right things about yourself? Are you telling yourself the right stories about yourself? Are you having thoughts that are getting in the way of yourself? Are you having thoughts that are not so good for you or for the world? So that's all kind of together. Saturn is challenging our thinking and our behavior and our motivation all together, which can kind of be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's there. I think with Saturn, it's always to remember that Saturn is there to help us to live this intentional, intuitive life. So.
What I love about this is Saturn being this figure that's like waving its finger at you, is that the next step in our framework is integrate.
That's
so
right.
all the stuff that you thought about in that that like beautiful esoteric watery communication time during that first part of the lunar cycle, now Saturn's like are you living in a way that's helpful to you and those around you? Are you doing the work? Which is the next part of living your intentions, is actually integrating them into your life, into your energy. So good. Okay, how that lines up.
Absolutely.
The universe is amazing.
Yeah, and we've got a bit of our insight bit going on here too, our shadow work, because we've also got the Sun square with Jupiter and sextile with Pluto. So it's like lots of like with Jupiter, the Sun is touching with Jupiter, so that expands things and expands our abundance through showing us opportunities that we might have, perhaps expanding our horizons to look at new opportunities. But then we've also got the Scorpio energy, which is like deepening our intensity and really looking deep into ourselves. So it's a really good time for that insight and shadow work, and then perhaps being able to kind of clear some views to some of the opportunities that we might have in our lives once we've done that shadow work. So that's going on as well. All of this is all going on in the next 2 weeks. It's a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot happening. But you know what, though, is that this stuff's happening around us all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that like the reason to pay attention to astrology, so many people want to read the horoscope and like know what's going to go on just for you. But your birth chart is so much more than just the sun sign thing that's happening. And so I think that understanding, even at a foundational level, about astrology, and in a few weeks we are hosting a free class, so you'll want to keep your kind of eyes out on your email for that announcement or here on the podcast, but and tune into that free class that we have coming out. But just like a base knowledge can really help you understand and stay in rhythm with the world, the universe, the energies happening around you. Like just going through this right now, I mean, we talked about planets and signs and sextile and square and things that people listening to this, you know, might not fully understand. But I think that the messages that are there remind us to look at ourselves and look at what it is that we want in life, and help us to consider from another perspective. So I don't think it's always about just like getting the astrology. It's about hearing the message.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it sounds like the message for the first half of this lunar cycle really is to like listen to your intuition, because your gut is, there's opportunities, there's beautiful expansiveness there. And is that, are you living in alignment with your values, and are you open to hearing the things? Because we can tell you all these messages, but if you're a person who's like just so, you know, looking at the day to day and so busy trying to, you know, be somebody else or like live up to the Joneses, as we say here in the US, if that's, and you're not focused at all on your inner knowing and your path forward, you know, all these messages could just fly right over your head and not even notice that they were there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sarah, so we're going to have the notes for this too over on the blog,
Yeah.
thesisтерsenchanted.com/blog. And you can find Sarah always around in our community groups and here, there, and everywhere, teaching in our astrology program and holistic witchery. And on these podcasts with me every 2 weeks for the new moon and full moon for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
All right. So we suggest you check out Tarot Throwdown, our tarot class, to help you sort of tune into this intuitive part of yourself, maybe get a little creative with storytelling, open up that artistic aspect, as Sarah was mentioning, for the first part of the lunar cycle. Yeah. No time like the present to get in there. You can check that out at tarotthrowdown.com. We've had over 6,000 people take the class, so I can tell you it's good and you want to join. So check that out again. It's tarotthrowdown.com. And in a few weeks, we're going to have a free astrology class. So keep your eyes out for that. Don't go too far. You might miss it. And if you could rate, subscribe, leave a review, all of those good things here on the podcast, we'd really appreciate it because we love making this for you for free every week. And to do that, it's really helpful for us to get the word out to other people who might benefit from this, everything we talk about here. So be sure to do that. Show us some love. We really, really appreciate it. Well, thank you again, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And until next time, we hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead.